Alright, so I thought it might be a good idea, maybe a bad idea, to talk about Jonathan Majors. So Jonathan Majors, star of the MCU, one of the upcoming stars. He's been in Ant-Man Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, but that's a terrible title since the Wasp had like 4 lines in that movie. He's also been the same character, a different version of Kang, in the first and second season of Loki. And he's been in some other stuff like Lovecraft Country, which he did a great job in, but I never finished that show because I felt like it kind of went off the rails. Maybe I should finish it, I don't know. In Loki, Jonathan Majors is terrific. He plays a couple different versions of the same character. One is like He Who Remains. This is spoiler territory, but he's at the end of time, managing the sacred timeline to prevent an all-out war between all of his alters, all the other Kangs out there who are having like a giant multiversal war, which is sort of the setup for the big Avengers Kang Dynasty movie that's a few years out. He also plays a guy named Victor Timely, who's a stuttering inventor from the time of the Chicago World's Fair, the late 1800s. And Loki actually goes to that time period, to the Chicago World's Fair, the Columbia Exposition, and it's such a cool setting. I loved that part of that show, partly because I love the book The Devil in the White City, which is about the architects behind that incredible venture, and also a serial killer that was operating during that time in the outskirts of the World's Fair. So, anyways, Jonathan Majors is a very talented actor, and right now there's a lot of controversy surrounding an assault case between him and his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabbari. And right off the bat, I will say this. I don't know whether he's guilty or innocent. There is footage showing her chasing him in an almost comical fashion down the street, but it's unclear, what transpired before the cab, what transpired, what's transpired. That word sounds weird to me now. It's unclear the full context of what happened, what went down, beyond what we can see in that footage. So I don't think that proves his guilt or his innocence. I think that's what the court is trying to decide. Certainly we have seen instances where men are falsely accused of assault or sexual assault, and we've seen instances where they get away with it. And this one, again, I am not trying to litigate what actually happened between these two people. We have also seen text messages and heard an audio recording of interactions between these two. And this is where, for me, it's hard not to see Majors as being manipulative and shitty and just kind of an arrogant prick. Now, I don't think that being an arrogant prick means you shouldn't work in Hollywood. Obviously, there are a lot of arrogant pricks working in Hollywood. But the context of some of these is pretty weird and raises a lot of red flags. For instance, the text messages where she wants to go to the hospital, and he says you shouldn't go because they'll ask questions and they'll think I did something. And she's basically like, I'll just tell them that I bumped my head. And then he says he'll kill himself because he's a monster, and if she goes to the hospital, he'll kill himself. That's super manipulative sounding to me. That's not the kind of conversation you have when someone was hurt and it wasn't your fault. And there's a couple of reasons for that. If it was nothing to do with him and he was just worried, oh, they'll think that, she wouldn't say that she's going to essentially lie about what actually happened. She'd just say, don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong, and I'll make sure they know that. People have responded to this saying, oh, well, he's threatening to kill himself because he's actually suicidal or because she drove him to it. And I don't think that's true. From personal experience, I know that there are people who will play the I'm going to kill myself card to get what they want. And that's what that looks like to me. Now, obviously, I don't know for sure, but that's what that looks like to me. He is being manipulative, trying to get what he wants by making this kind of threat. I think it's a pretty shitty thing to do, honestly. And having been on the other side of that, it's a fucked up thing, because you're basically like, you suspect that you're being manipulated, but because of the stakes, because like, if you're wrong, the stakes are so high, you're really put in a corner. And that's just a terrible place to be put in a relationship, be put in a corner. The voice, or the auto recording, has Majors is upset with her because she went out drinking with friends. And essentially is telling her, like, when I'm working on a movie, your friends should know that you're not available. Now, on the one hand, I understand in a relationship, if your partner comes home drunk and you weren't expecting that, or, you know, maybe you've just agreed that that's not cool, fine, I get that. But on the other hand, I've known enough people who've been in relationships where they are controlled by their partner. Their partner won't let them go out with friends, won't let them go have fun. And that's another big red flag when you're, you know, being so domineering and controlling that your partner can't go do the things that they would like to do, you know. And I'm not talking about sleeping around or something, but just going out with friends. That's kind of, that's a red flag. Now, obviously, if the context was like, hey, we had this thing planned and you went out and got drunk and I'm pissed off, that would be one thing. But if it's just like, hey, I'm working on a movie, and so for the rest of the 6 months we're shooting this movie, or whatever, I'm just throwing a number out, you're not allowed to go out with friends. They have to know that you're here to support me. That seems like a red flag to me. And then he says he's a great man and he's doing great work, and he likens himself to Martin Luther King Jr. and Barack Obama in so many words. Again, none of this means that he's guilty of assault. And the response I've gotten, and I'm sure the response I will continue to get, is that pointing out that these are red flags about him as a person, and potentially establishing a pattern of manipulative or controlling behavior, which is common in domestic violence situations, that doesn't mean he did it. And I'm not saying that this is evidence that he committed assault. I don't know the answer to that question. But I do think that these are red flags, and that they show Jonathan Majors as a kind of troubling guy. From Disney's perspective, obviously they're in a terrible situation, because on the one hand, they've built this whole phase 5, I think, this phase 6, I don't know what phase we're on. They built this whole phase around Kang. They've been setting this up. They've been laying the bricks, the groundwork to get to the whole Kang dynasty thing, and having to recast Majors is going to be awful for a major film franchise like this. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be confusing for audiences, controversial. It's going to be hard to replace Majors because he's a terrific actor and he's done a great job with Kang. On the other hand, his reputation has taken a big hit, and he's also said, and now it's very public, that he's threatening and that he's set in motion killing himself, which might make him hard to insure. And if you can't insure your stars for the movie you're filming, you can't really have them on that movie. So it's a real shitty situation for Marvel and Disney. And that's just aside from the assault, the allegations, and whether or not he's guilty or not. The other thing that I've seen talking about this, having anything critical to say, even though I qualify everything with, I don't know if he's guilty, even though I qualify everything with, I think he's a great actor, simply saying that the stuff he's said in these text messages and in the audio recording make my spidey senses tingle, make me think that this is a manipulative guy who's used to getting his way, and he's very controlling. That's certainly not the only sources we've heard this from either. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But the things that I've been told are like, having any opinion on this that isn't he's innocent 100% means that I am a terrible journalist. I am libeling him, which is not how that works, and that I'm racist. It's amazing how quickly people pull the race card. Apparently, you literally cannot be critical of a non-white person for any reason, or you're racist, which I think is actually pretty racist, because if I don't criticize someone like Jonathan Majors because they're black, that's racist, right? If I only criticize them because they're black, that would also be racist. But the fact of the matter is I've had criticisms for lots of different people, men, women, white, black, Christian, Jew, atheist. It doesn't matter to me. It just matters what you do, what you say. But that's, you know, comment threads and social media, Twitter, all these things. You really can't have any kind of nuanced conversation without people freaking the fuck out and making it like you're, you know, trying to ruin someone's life. And it must be because you're racist or because you're some crazy cancel culture maniac. Which, I don't know, anybody who's been watching my videos, reading my work, knows that I'm not a crazy cancel culture maniac. I actually have found, you know, I've written many times about the excesses of cancel culture. I've written about false allegations of sexual assault. I've put my neck out there at different times in various cases. And I like to look at what's available, what kind of, you know, if there are text messages, if there's a pattern that's been established, I like to look at that. Again, with Majors, I can't say, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that shows that he's been out there assaulting people over the years, but it definitely seems like there is some evidence that he is a controlling and manipulative guy. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I'm certainly not saying that it's clear that he's an assaulter because of that. And there have been other cases, you know, where people have been accused of stuff and you just look and you're like, okay, they've been accused by this person, but no one else has accused them of anything. There's never been any other examples of bad behavior or any other. That's when you say, okay, wait a minute. This is now a he said, she said thing, and we have to look at this pretty critically. Now, if there's 20 different people lined up accusing somebody with paper trails, with all the whatever, then you got to say, okay, there's something to this. Again, but in all these cases, you have to be careful. You have to look into it. You have to let things come out. So talking about Jonathan Majors, I'm just looking at the text messages, the audio, and the other things we've heard, and all put together. It really doesn't seem like Disney has the option anymore to go forward with him. And maybe they need to just change course away from Kang altogether, or maybe they need to recast. I don't know. But this, you know, whether he's proven innocent or guilty, like his reputation has been tarnished. And it is a shame because he is a great actor who I very much enjoyed in everything I've seen him in. And I was really looking forward to his role. I mean, I say that, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not really looking forward to anything Marvel these days. I'm pretty much like I really liked Loki season 2 was remarkably good, but it and like Guardians 3, I think the only stuff I've really liked a lot for a long time. Yeah, you know, of all the MCU shows that have come out, it's really just Loki and WandaVision that I've really, really enjoyed. Other stuff has been okay. And some of it I didn't even watch the Secret War or whatever. I didn't, you know, I watched She-Hulk just like, it's like self-flagellation, basically. Like, I watched She-Hulk to atone for all the bad things I've done. No, boy, that was bad. So I don't know. Yeah, we should absolutely wait. And, you know, not he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law for assault. But just like with anybody else, in the court of public opinion and in the court of what the fuck Disney's going to do, that has nothing to do with whether the assault happened or didn't happen or whatever. It's going to have to do with all this other stuff that comes out. And honestly, from everything I can tell so far, just like in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, it sounds like both of these people were kind of fucked up and were in a super toxic relationship. And now we're getting the dirty laundry. And, you know, with Amber Heard, I think is a terrible person. She's manipulative. She's dishonest, narcissistic, all that shit. But does Johnny Depp really come out of all that looking great? I don't think so either. I think he looks like a drug-addled man baby who can't keep his shit together. Who has way too much money and loves to spend it and act like a jackass. I don't think that makes him as problematic as Amber Heard, but he didn't walk away from that case, that trial, that whole lawsuit looking great to me either. And I know that these things are become culture war issues. You know, if you support Johnny Depp, you must be part of this clique in the culture wars, and you see it play out. If you're, if you criticize Jonathan Majors, you must be you're either a racist or you're a woke racist. If you're on Johnny Depp's side or Jonathan Majors' side, you must be, the culture wars get into everything. We can't even just like look at things and say, well, this is what, this is how I feel about it. I think my take is pretty moderate. I think a lot of people who aren't super woke, who aren't super conservative might look at this case and be like, whoa, dude is saying he's a great man and comparing himself to MLK and Barack Obama in an argument with his girlfriend where he's telling her she's not allowed to go out drinking with friends. That's a lot of red flags. Like if that was, if that's my daughter and that's what she's, the conversation she's having, I tell her, maybe don't date this guy, That's where I'm coming from. Which, it's the other thing. Along with being called racist and whatnot, I've been told I'm unbiased. Yes, you're right. Of course I have bias. First of all, I make opinion. I'm an opinion writer, and I make videos with my opinion. I'm a critic. My bias, again, I don't think it's actually bias at work. It's opinion, which is shaped by our biases, by our experiences. But I'm not just writing a news report about this. I'm also offering up my opinion and analysis, my feelings. That's what I do. So yeah, there's going to be some bias coloring that. And generally speaking, though, if you criticize someone who's writing an op-ed or making a review, and you say that they're biased, you better understand what that means. Like a bias would mean that like I work for one of the legal teams. A bias would be, I have a deep hatred of some company and now I'm writing a piece attacking them. Or I have an investment in some company and now I'm writing a glowing review of their product because it will boost my share value or something. That's bias. Opinion is not the same thing as bias. Opinion is just what we think about something. This movie was good because XYZ. This movie was bad because ABC. That's opinion. Now, if Steven Spielberg killed my dad and I'm criticizing his movie because I'm biased against him, that would be one thing. That would be different than opinion. So, anyways, shout at me in the comments. I'm sure some people will really be mad because of my extreme opinions here. But let me know what you think about this mess in the comments. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Have a lovely day. Peace.